You wake up believing warmth earns loyalty. You answer fast. You explain yourself. You show up early and stay late. Meanwhile, someone colder just passed you without effort. The truth is brutal. Respect is not given to the kind heart. Respect is given to the controlled presence. You live in a world split in two. You either understand power, or you become fuel for those who do. You either manage your emotional temperature, or someone else uses it against you. This lesson is about becoming cold without becoming cruel. This is Law 4, Law 16, and Law 34, moving together like a blade. This is the discipline of saying less, appearing less, and carrying yourself like you already belong at the top. This is the intelligence that watches quietly, lets others reveal themselves, and moves only when the outcome is certain. Before you judge this, understand the environment you live in. Predators already use these rules. They stay calm while you over-explain. They withdraw while you chase. You deserve to know how this works, so you can protect yourself. Type in the comments, "I choose power over permission." Now listen closely, because cold presence is how respect is rebuilt. Silence scares insecure people because it removes their mirror. When you stop talking, you stop giving them feedback to lean on. You stop confirming their importance. You stop soothing their doubts. In that quiet space, something shifts. Attention moves toward you. Not because you demanded it, but because you did not chase it. You were trained to believe that talking proves competence. You explain your choices. You justify delays. You soften statements so no one feels uncomfortable. Every extra sentence leaks power. Every clarification teaches others that you are unsure. The moment you cut that habit, authority begins to form around you naturally. When you speak less, people start filling the gap. They talk more. They reveal motivations, fears, and hidden agendas without realizing it. You learn who needs approval. You learn who feels threatened. You learn who is testing boundaries. All of this information appears only when you are quiet enough to notice it. Controlled silence also slows emotional reactions. Instead of responding instantly, you pause. That pause forces others to sit with their own words. It creates pressure without aggression. It communicates that you are not rushed, not reactive, and not desperate to be understood. Calm restraint feels heavier than loud confidence. This is not about being distant or cold for show. It is about choosing precision over noise. When you finally speak, your words land harder because they are rare. People listen because they are not used to hearing you waste language. Your voice becomes associated with decisions, not commentary. In meetings, silence positions you as an observer instead of a performer. In conflict, it prevents you from giving emotional ammunition. In daily life, it signals self-trust. You do not need constant validation when you are comfortable with holding your thoughts. Power does not announce itself, it waits. Silence is not emptiness, it is control. And control is what makes others take you seriously, without you ever asking them to. Being available all the time feels generous, but it quietly lowers your value. When people know you are always reachable, always willing, always ready, they stop preparing for you. They assume access is guaranteed. Attention fades when effort is no longer required. Absence changes that equation. When you step back without announcing it, routines break. People notice the gap you left behind, not because you reminded them, but because their expectations were interrupted. The mind reacts to loss faster than it reacts to presence. That reaction creates focus. You were taught that pulling back looked rude or insecure. The truth is the opposite. Constant presence signals dependency. Controlled distance signals self-direction. When you are not always there, others adjust their behavior. They become more deliberate. They choose their words carefully. They value interactions more because they are no longer automatic. The key is restraint, not drama. You do not disappear to punish. You do not explain your absence to seek reassurance. You simply redirect your time. That calm withdrawal tells a powerful story. It says your life is full. It says your attention is selective. It says access to you is earned, not owed. Absence also protects you. It creates space to observe patterns without being pulled into them. You see who reaches out with respect and who only notices you when they need something. Familiarity hides intentions. Distance exposes them. In work settings, reduced availability increases perceived importance. In relationships, it restores balance. In social circles, it shifts power without confrontation. People start adapting to you instead of the other way around. This is not about isolation. It is about rhythm. Presence means something only when absence exists. When you return after stepping back, energy shifts, conversations feel sharper, reactions feel stronger, people engage instead of taking you for granted. Value is not built through constant visibility. It is built through controlled access. When you choose when to appear and when to step away, respect grows quietly, and you never have to ask for it. Emotional reactions are the easiest handle anyone can grab. The moment your tone rises, your face tightens, or your pace speeds up, you reveal where pressure works. Manipulative people watch for those signals. They do not need to overpower you if they can provoke you. Neutrality removes that handle. When others escalate, you slow down. When they push urgency, you stay measured. This contrast unsettles them. They expect resistance or collapse. Calm gives them neither. It forces them to expose intent instead of feeding off your response. You were taught that showing emotion proves honesty. In reality, unmanaged emotion broadcasts vulnerability. Frustration invites control. Defensiveness invites attack. Excitement invites exploitation. When your emotional temperature stays even, attempts to influence you lose traction. This does not mean you feel nothing. It means you decide when feelings are expressed. You process reactions privately instead of performing them in public. That delay alone shifts power. It tells others they cannot rush you into agreement, guilt, or regret. In arguments, neutrality changes the entire frame. Raised voices seek dominance through chaos. Your stillness removes the battlefield without emotional fuel. Pressure collapses. The other person either calms down or overplays their hand. Both outcomes work in your favor. In professional settings, neutrality earns trust. People see you as reliable under stress. They bring you serious matters instead of drama. Your presence becomes stabilizing, which quietly elevates your status. This discipline also protects your clarity, emotions, narrow focus. Calm expands it. You hear more. You notice inconsistencies. You recognize when someone is steering the conversation instead of addressing the issue. That awareness only appears when you are not reacting. Emotional restraint is not suppression. It is timing. You choose when and where expression serves you. When others realize they cannot shake you, they stop trying. Control shifts without conflict. Neutrality becomes armor, and armor keeps you standing while others exhaust themselves trying to move you. Status does not begin with permission, it begins with expectation. People decide how to treat you based on the signals you send before a word is spoken. Hesitation invites testing. Certainty closes that door. You do not need titles or validation to project authority. You need alignment. Your posture is steady. Your movements are deliberate. You do not rush to prove usefulness. You act as if your time matters because it does. That assumption trains others to respond accordingly. Many people wait for respect before they change their behavior. That order never works. When you seek approval, you hand control away. Approval seeking shows up in small ways. Over-explaining, nervous laughter, constant agreement. Each signal tells others you are adjustable. Decisiveness changes that dynamic fast. When you make choices without excessive justification, people follow the frame you set. Even wrong decisions carry more weight than perfect hesitation. Clarity creates momentum. Momentum creates authority. Pace matters more than volume. Fast reactions look reactive. Slow responses look considered. When you pause before answering, you communicate that your words are intentional. The pause creates gravity. Others start matching your rhythm without realizing it. Status is also built through boundaries. You do not overcommit. You do not accept disrespect to stay included. When something crosses a line, you address it briefly and move on. No speeches. No emotional spill, just correction. That teaches people where the edges are. This is not arrogance. Arrogance seeks attention. Expectation assumes it. You are not above others. You are centered in yourself. That center is what people respect. In work, this shifts how colleagues approach you. In social spaces, it alters who leads interactions. In personal life, it reduces pushback. People treat you based on what you tolerate and what you project. Respect is not a reward. It is a response. When you move like you expect it, speak like you expect it, and act like you expect it, most people fall in line without resistance. Open dominance attracts resistance. The moment you signal superiority, insecure people look for ways to cut you down. They do not challenge your ideas, they challenge your position. Blending in avoids that fight entirely. When you act normal, you become invisible in the best way. No one guards their words around you. No one performs. No one hides motives. People reveal habits, alliances, and insecurities when they believe you are not a threat. That information is leverage. You did not have to demand. You were taught to stand out to be noticed. That advice ignores human nature. Most groups punish those who rise too fast or too loudly. Subtlety protects you while you learn the terrain. Influence built quietly lasts longer than influence forced early. Blending in does not mean shrinking. It means regulating your signal. You match tone, you mirror pace. You avoid unnecessary opinions. This keeps attention off you while you study how decisions are actually made and who really moves outcomes. Power players often look unremarkable at first glance. They dress simply. They speak plainly. They let others underestimate them. That underestimation creates freedom. You are not challenged, questioned, or sabotaged because no one feels threatened yet. While others perform, you observe patterns. Who interrupts? Who defers? Who repeats ideas until they stick? Who seeks approval from whom? These details reveal the real hierarchy. Titles lie, behavior does not. When the time comes to act, you do so with precision because you waited. Your move surprises. Because you listened, your words land exactly where they should. Sudden competence feels intimidating when it comes from someone who appeared neutral. This approach also protects your emotional energy. You are not fighting for recognition. You are not reacting to ego games. You stay composed while others burn out trying to be seen. Blending in is patience with purpose. You trade short-term attention for long-term control. Dominance earned this way feels effortless because no one saw it forming until it was already there. Most people believe they are complex. In reality, patterns expose them fast. They repeat fears. They chase the same validation. They react the same way under pressure. The mistake you were taught is to respond instead of observe. When you stay neutral, people show you what matters to them. You hear it in what they complain about. You see it in what they defend too quickly. You notice it in what they cannot laugh off. These are not random behaviors. They are signals. A pressure point is not always weakness. Sometimes it is ambition. Sometimes it is image. Sometimes it is approval from a specific person. Once you recognize it, interactions shift. You stop guessing. You stop over-explaining. You know where influence actually lives. Emotion clouds this awareness. When you react, you miss details. When you defend yourself, you give away control. Calm observation keeps you ahead. You are not judging, you are cataloging. That information stays private until it matters. In professional spaces, this shows up clearly. One person fears being ignored. Another fears losing authority. Another fears exposure. When you understand this, conversations become predictable. You know who will push back and who will fold under subtle pressure. This is not about exploitation. It is about protection. When you know someone's pressure point, you avoid stepping into traps designed to trigger you. You recognize manipulation early because you understand the lever being pulled. Watch how people react when they do not get immediate responses. Watch how they behave when credit shifts. Watch who becomes uneasy when attention moves away from them. These moments reveal more than direct questions ever could. Leverage gained through observation does not need force. It changes your posture. Your tone adjusts naturally. You choose words more carefully because you understand impact. Information is quiet power. It does not demand attention. It waits. When you stop leading with emotion and start leading with awareness, you gain control without confrontation, and that control keeps you from being cornered by anyone who thinks they know you. Predictable behavior makes you easy to manage. Once people learn your patterns, they plan around you. They know when you will agree, when you will push back, and when you will fold. The knowledge gives them comfort, and comfort lowers respect. Unpredictability disrupts that comfort. When your reactions are measured and inconsistent in timing, people slow down. They think before acting. They hesitate before crossing lines because they cannot calculate your response. That hesitation is authority forming. This does not mean acting erratic. Chaos destroys trust. Controlled unpredictability is about removing patterns, not stability. Your values stay consistent. Your reactions do not follow a script. Sometimes you respond immediately. Sometimes you take time. The difference is intentional, not emotional. When you always react the same way, others test limits casually. When your responses vary, testing becomes risky. No one wants to trigger an outcome they cannot predict. Uncertainty creates caution, and caution creates respect. This shows up clearly in negotiations and conflict. If you always defend yourself, attacks continue. If you always ignore pressure, it escalates. Varying your approach keeps others off balance. They cannot settle into a strategy against you. Unpredictability also protects your inner space. You stop being pulled into automatic replies. You choose when to engage and when to stay silent. That choice alone shifts power back to you. People associate authority with depth. Depth comes from restraint. When reactions are rare, they feel heavy. When words are limited, they carry weight. Unpredictability amplifies both by removing expectation. This discipline forces others to pay attention. They listen more closely. They watch your cues. They adjust behavior to avoid missteps. Without threats or displays, you guide the interaction. Readability invites control. Uncertainty invites respect. When people cannot forecast you, they treat you carefully, not out of fear, but out of awareness. And awareness is the foundation of authority that lasts. You just learned 7 layers of power drawn from 5 laws of the 48 laws of power. You now see why warmth without boundaries quietly destroys respect, while cold discipline rebuilds it. But knowledge locked in your head changes nothing. Respect shifts only when behavior shifts. You do not need to become harsh. You need to become controlled. Choose one lesson, not all 7. Pick the one that mirrors your current weakness. If you talk too much, practice silence for 7 days. If you are always available, create absence. If emotions spill out under pressure, slow everything down. You will feel uncomfortable at first. That discomfort is your old conditioning breaking. This is not about harming others. This is about guarding yourself. You use coldness to stop manipulation, not to create it. You use restraint to avoid being drained, not to dominate the innocent. Imagine a world where disciplined people understand power as clearly as ruthless ones do. Exploitation loses strength in that world. There are 2 paths in front of you. One path chases approval, explains endlessly, and wonders why respect never arrives. The other path observes quietly, moves deliberately, and never begs to be taken seriously. One path is emotional. The other is strategic. You are not here to control others. You are here to never be controlled again. If this sharpened your awareness, like the video. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you stay ahead of the psychology shaping your life. Tell me in the comments which lesson hit you hardest and where you plan to apply it. Stay cold enough to see the truth clearly. Stay controlled enough to rest without regret. Stay sharp enough to always remain 10 steps ahead.